because I ran out of money the first day I landed in Nairobi. I ate a huge breakfast and lunch, and I'm like, oh, now what am I going to do? And then I figured out these people at night, when these buses come bringing fruits from Tanzania, they usually park down there in Marikiti, so we used to go sleep under the lorries. Once the driver is asleep, you just wake up, steal a few
and run.
pineapples, oranges. Yeah, when it's cold, you go to the bus station. These buses from up country just go chill by the exhaust pipe. It was nice and warm. Yeah, so it was, I would say it was a life-changing, eye-opening experience. I'm sad that I put myself through it, but glad I went through it.
Selam and hello everyone. My name is Lily Bakala Piper and welcome to the show. Today you are in for such a treat. I am so thrilled that today on the show we have Dennis Ombachi joining us. Perhaps you're a rugby star and you know Dennis as one of the members of the Kenyan Sevens, also a Kenyan Olympian who represented the country in the 2016 Rio Olympics. Or maybe you, like me, are a TikToker who has loved his content as the roaming chef and also recently named as TikTok's top African content creator for 2022. Or perhaps you also know Dennis from his work as just a chef, somebody who's making delicious meals and oftentimes taking those meals to the kids across the city. However you may have been introduced to Dennis, I think you're going to love today's episode. Dennis joins us to talk about his work and his life, how he went from being a young rugby star to a content creator to a father, what he finds inspires him, the mentors who have guided his career, what he loves to make in the kitchen, and what he's going to do next in his life and in the next chapter of his story. We had a lot of fun on today's episode, and for the first time, I do believe, Dennis cooked an Ethiopian meal. We got busy in the kitchen, we made some tips, we had a good time. I cannot wait for you to get into this episode. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, my new friend, the roaming chef, Dennis Ombachi. Dennis, thank you so much for being on Selam and Hello today. It's such a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine.
We're really delighted. We've all been buzzing and excited to have you here. And, my family knew you were coming. My sons and others who are rugby fans were just so jazzed to meet you, which makes me wonder, with all of the roles that you've played from rugby star to chef to content creator, where do you begin when you introduce yourself to people these days?
I think when I introduce myself, I focus on the bit that people choose to forget, the fact that I'm a former Kenya Sevens rugby player, international. The fact that I competed at the Olympic Games, there are only a few of us walking in this earth. Yeah, and then the rest usually pretty follows that, because nowadays people just know me from my cooking, my TikToks, the awards I won from TikTok, like the top creator in Africa 2022.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
For me, that's just a byproduct of my rugby career. Rugby is what defined me.
Yeah, and just reading about your career, I think I was amazed at how you ended up in rugby. So if people are forgetting that you're a rugby star, maybe it's worth you sharing with us how you ended up in the sport in the first place.
How I ended up in the sport is it's a long story. I don't think we have enough time for that here, but to sum it up, around Form 2, while I was in Kisii High School, I joined rugby just to sort of escape some chores in school. So my first year, I would say my second year, I really didn't like rugby. I didn't join the game because I love the game. I joined the game to escape some duties. And later on, when I joined Kiambu High School around in Form 3, that's when I took it a bit more seriously. But it was just as a sort of release for me. So I think I came to fall in love with the game later on when I had joined the national team. I had made new friends, traveled the world, taught me different values, discipline, commitment, showing up each and every time. So rugby is a sport that I came to love along the way, but ideally to start with, it was a means to an end. Actually, the reason why I started playing club rugby was looking forward to join the national team so that I can escape poverty. That was my main reason.
But many people, that doesn't work out for many people, but for you it did. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I think anything you put effort into it, as much as I didn't like it as much to begin, I knew this was my only chance. It was my only means out of what people call the hood. So I gave my all into it, of course, with the support of lots of players. Like Africa Yange was my mentor. I put in my shift. I put in a lot of work. So and nothing comes easy. So you don't have to like what you're doing. As long as you put in the effort, it will reward you.
You've talked about in other places some of the mentors that you've had along the way in the sport. You've mentioned one now. What role have other people played in the start of your career? Because rugby led to everything else that has come. What have those mentors meant to you in your path?
The different mentors I've had in life, they have shaped me to the person I am. I've had a lot. I've had the likes of Humphrey. I've had people like Jimani. I've had someone like Gordon Ramsay. Doesn't know he was my mentor, but I've been following him like since I got the internet TV, since the internet existed. Yeah, so, and everyone needs a mentor. I know there are people, they gave me their shoulders to stand on. So it's always nice to have someone you're looking up to, someone that in case things don't go your way, you have somewhere to go back. So for me, apart from saying my mom or my parents, apart from them being my family, being my parents, they also, to some extent, my mentors, because I also look up to my mom, the discipline she has, the perseverance and everything. Yeah, so I believe everyone in life needs a mentor, and they've shaped me to the person I am. And up to now, I still look up to different people. Currently, I think the person who inspires me the most is my partner. Like she's the one who pushes me, gets me off the couch, because I can be a bit lazy sometimes. And that's why she took up the mantle of being my manager as well. Yeah, so everything you see me doing, like she's even the one who actually told me to join TikTok.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I was only on Instagram, Twitter. I was like, TikTok, what will I be doing on TikTok? And I don't know how to dance. She was like, just do it. There are also some shapes inside there. And yeah, up to today, TikTok is the biggest platform I have. Yeah, so mentors do play a huge role.
Yeah, it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah, it takes a village.
So let's go back to those rugby roots, because anybody who's a fan of the sport, anyone who's a fan of Kenya Sevens, for sure knows that you are the one who scored that try against Zimbabwe that led Kenya to qualify for the 2016 Olympics. So take us back to that moment. What did that feel like?
That particular moment, I won't lie and say it felt special or anything. For me, that particular moment was just a regular day in the office that I needed to get the job done. So, but I think it is the confidence that the team showed on me, because I started the game off the bench. So I came in, we were trailing, the hoot had already gone. So had Zimbabwe kicked the ball out, we were definitely out of the Olympics. So, but fortunately enough, Biko caught the ball, passed it to Collins, and then I just had everyone was just saying, pass to Ombachi. And I got the ball and sort of had a brain freeze. I blocked. I don't know if I was supposed to pass, but looking back at the video, I actually should have passed the ball because there were people on my outside. But then I decided, I'm fresh, let me just run. And before I know it, I had scored the try, wanted to wake up to catch a breath, and then everyone was just falling on top of me. So at that particular moment in time, it was just a regular day. We managed to win the game. But looking back, 2016 is a long time back, and the more the years go by, the more I kind of realized like what we achieved was something special, something that we should not take for granted. Yeah, we were. I don't want to say we were lucky because we worked for the win. So yeah, it's something special, and every time I look at the video every now and then, because it pops up in my timeline from time to time, and I'm like, yeah, we were a special bunch of brothers.
I mean, have you showed that video to your kids? Are they old enough to appreciate?
No, those kids don't appreciate me enough now. Like recently, I had an ad I did with Kenchik, and they were watching cartoons. The ad came on, they just waited 3 seconds and skipped it immediately. Not even caring it's their
Nothing,
father on
Baba,
TV.
nothing.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what's paying your bills, and you guys are just skipping my ads.
They're there to keep you humble, you know? You've
Yeah,
gone to
yeah.
Olympics and they're bringing you back home.
Humble you. Kids will humble you.
They will. So, you said that was a regular day in the office in that game, but I do want, you've said also representing your country, how special that was in the Olympics. So take me to that moment, maybe going into Rio, going into that stadium, and Kenya national team is walking around the track. I mean, come on, give us what that felt like.
The Olympics was special. I keep telling people, because many people ask me, you retired quite early. I was like, yeah, I know I quit the sport early, but if I was to be given another chance to play the game, I think it will only be at the Olympics. The atmosphere is different. You meet all these other athletes, world-class athletes from all over the world. I think that's the first time I met face-to-face, even ate in the same dining area with Usain Bolt. We were taking photos there with, was it Djokovic, Serena Williams, Andy Murray or something like that. Yeah, so it was just special. And then Brazil also, the atmosphere was just good. The beaches were nice. The food was good. The Olympics is just, I will say, something special that you need to experience it for you to believe and understand. I just can't put it to words.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I can't put it to words.
It's funny you're telling us that. My daughter's just walked in, so we both froze. I was like, yeah, kids will keep you humble, going back to our previous one. But what I think all of us appreciate living through you and hearing you share what that meant, because those of us who have followed your career on TikTok and met you through that way, which I have to admit, I didn't know your rugby career. I met you through TikTok, but then have researched and gone back and just been blown away how you have built a career that has transcended completely different genres, to go from sport to cooking, and to take a love that you had for cooking and then to translate it to content is not something many people can do. And to me, it feels like it might be connected to what you said earlier, which is that you joined rugby to get out of poverty, or your hope was to make that club team to be able to have a maneuvering out of rugby. So as you went from kind of career to career, was that staying with you, this desire, like, what's my next hustle? How do I continue to maintain?
Yeah, of course. While I was playing rugby, because I always knew, I was also unfortunate enough, I had lots of career-threatening injuries. I was through 5 major surgeries, broke my leg. Even now I have a metal plate in my leg that I played with. So in the back of my mind, with each and every injury, I knew, like, the lifespan of a sportsman is the same like that of milk. Today it's fresh, leave it on the table, sleep, wake up, tomorrow it's not there. So I always kept asking myself, like, what else can I be good at? What other passions did I have? Or what other thing can I pick up? Because I didn't have a passion for rugby. I just picked it up, became good at it, and at the end of the day grew to love it. So I was like, what other thing can I pick up that I'll grow to love and can be a means of earning income at that particular moment in time? So, and back then, social media really hadn't picked up. Social media influencing was not really there. It was just starting to come up. So I only was on Instagram, but I was just sharing, just... For us sportsmen, we are just using social media as a means of sharing our stories, our narratives about life, how we perceive life, how life is taking us. With this age, you just can't depend on the mainstream media, because the news that they want to tell is the news that will grab the
That will
headlines.
sell, yeah.
And most of the time, it's not the good news. So bad news about you is what will sell. So I was just using it to share with people, like, okay, I cook these and stuff. And then social media influencing started coming up. I started seeing people just being paid, being influencers. And at that particular moment in time, I was still in sports. And in my opinion, the biggest sportsmen, the biggest influencers are entertainers and sports people. So I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing once I retire from the sport. So I just need to pick up a niche, and I already loved cooking. More rather watching videos of people cook, especially Gordon Ramsay. So I used to watch lots of it. So I started perfecting the craft.
Yeah.
So I started now sharing photos of whatever I cook on my Instagram, Twitter, here and there. Had cookouts with my friends. They were like, your food is nice. Open up a food blog. So I actually started as a food blogger. And,
Okay, so let me just pause you there. So food blogging as you're cooking and then writing about it.
yeah.
That's old school.
Yeah,
That's
that was old school. I was
social
cooking,
influencing.
writing about it, faking an introduction.
Yeah.
This meal reminds me of my grandmother. Of course, my grandmother never cooked that. That's why I actually dropped blogging
That's so
a
funny.
while later on. I was like,
I can't make up any more stories.
yeah, I'm out of lies. I'm out of lies. I'm more visual, because even me, how I consume information is
Yeah,
more
of
visual.
course,
Not
yeah.
I don't like reading. Even as much as people say read a book, I don't know. I don't like reading. I'd rather watch something. It creates
That's what we're in now. It's
yeah,
everything is,
it creates a
visual.
greater impact on me, I believe, because even cooking, I taught myself through watching, not through reading.
Yeah.
Like I never followed recipes, and I usually tell people who keep asking me for a recipe, I'm like, I can't give you a recipe because it won't
Yeah.
teach you how to cook, and I
Right.
can't teach you how to cook.
Right.
I can only show you how to cook. It's up for you to teach yourself how to cook.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, so so I started with the food blog, and then I really didn't, it was not my thing. I let it die a silent death. I started now posting proper photos, and then the pandemic came. I started now doing videos on my balcony, posting bits here and there on social media, and I'm like, people actually really like the videos more than the photos. And that's a nutshell of how I started, which is just but a 1% of the journey.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think that's when we met you. That's when my kids were watching you all the time during the
Yeah.
pandemic. We were all at home and they were bringing you to the dinner table. Like, can we try this? I was like, you can try that. Why don't you get in there and do that? So, you know, this idea of food is so powerful because we all eat. We all have to eat every day. It's an
Yeah.
intimate experience, you know. And one of the things that's touched me about some of your social influencing, without making a big fuss or making big statement, we've seen you cook and then pack the food and then take it to different communities, take it to kids. Why has that been important to you?
That's another long story. I needed to write a book about my life.
Listen, I have time. If you have time, I have time.
Because I remember when I was in Form 2, Form 2. I was bullied a lot at school. At some point, I was also naughty. So at some point, I was like, I've had enough of this system. I'm going to run away from school. So at night, I just jumped the fence, ran away from school. It was all the way in Kisii, Nyanza province. Took a bus, came to Nairobi, and then once I reached Nairobi, I realized, I also don't want to go home. What do I do? I'm like, these guys, the street kids around here look like they are living a good life. It's a carefree life. There's nothing, they don't have any responsibilities. Let me chill with them. Yeah, so I was a street kid for a week before one of my friends, one of the street kids approached me and said, yo, most of us here are here because we don't have families. You're here, you have a family, you just have your own issues. You think you need to go home. I was like, I'll think about it. So it was, but the reason why I didn't want to go home is because after 7 days, I was like, now what am I going to tell my family?
The consequences are there.
Yeah, the consequence will be there. You know, an African home expects some
For
whippings
sure,
here and
yes.
there. So the guy was like, "Oh, you give me your dad's phone number." So I gave him my dad's phone number. He called him, and then my dad just sent a search party. And just one day, I was just walking in the middle of town. I met my uncle. Took me. We had a proper meal. Went home, showered, went back to school.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why up to today, like the homeless or the street kids, they have a special place in my heart.
You know, we all pass the street kids, and I think we struggle with like what's the best way, right, to be a good citizen, to be a proper part of the community, because they're also our kids.
Yeah.
What's something that we misunderstand, you know, and we're driving on, you know, James Gashuru or elsewhere, we're driving through town and we're passing these kids and it's just easy to roll up your window. I don't know, what do we misunderstand about those kids and their lives?
I don't think you really can blame anyone, because nowadays it's really hard to know who's real and who's faking it. Like lots of people have taken advantage of the situation. There are people who actually in need, so it's really hard. It's really hard to know whether the person you're helping is genuine or they are faking it. So for me, I usually just go by my gut instinct. Like today, I feel like I have something extra. I'll give it. Whether you're ripping me off or not, it's none of my business. I've done my part. Maybe I'm helping someone who is in need. Maybe I'm not, but I've done my social responsibility for the day. Yeah. So it's hard to know, just help when you can.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you're right. I mean, I first came to Nairobi, I don't know, 20-some years ago, but Addis Ababa is also home, and it's the same in Addis Ababa as it is any major urban center.
You can't help everybody at the end of the day.
Yeah, you don't know. You also don't know. And but I think it's quite powerful to think about how far you've come and just the tenderness of that young man to say to you, you have a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must think of him often. I mean, that's really...
Yeah, the saddest part is that I don't remember his name, because we never used to call each other by names. We just used to be like, oh, yo, you just used to, because I ran out of money the first day I landed in Nairobi. I ate a huge breakfast and lunch, and I'm like, oh, now what am I going to do? And then I figured out these people at night, you know, when these buses come bringing fruits from Tanzania, they usually park down there in Marikiti, so we used to go sleep under the lorries. Once the driver is asleep, you just wake up, steal a few
and run.
Pineapples, oranges. Yeah, when it's cold, you go to the bus station. These buses from up country just go chill by the exhaust pipe. It was nice and warm. Yeah, so it was, I would say it was a life-changing, eye-opening experience. I'm sad that I put myself through it, but glad I went through it.
Yeah, and that you're here to be able to tell us the story, I think helps us to be better wherever we are. You know? Yeah, I appreciate hearing your story. So speaking of stories, you know, you have in your platform, I mean, you're a storyteller, you know, whether you're cooking, whether you're talking about rugby.
I tell stories through food.
You tell stories through food, which is so awesome. And we have our favorites. We're going to talk a lot about food in a moment. But you've also been very vulnerable and told the story of your own personal health and your public health, and you've been public about it, which I think is really profound in this African context that we're in, to talk about your journey with mental health, how you're doing. You've been open, you've been vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So what gave you that courage, I think, to be comfortable enough to talk about your own health in the public forums that you've created?
The courage came over the years, because I was diagnosed with bipolar 2018. Of course, I've been through ups and downs, through attempted suicide and everything. So I was basically spent the better part of my late adulthood. So that's from 2016 till 2019, 2020, they're seeking help here and there, medications, trying to figure out what's up with me. And I think at some point I managed to get my life together. I was consistently on meds, accepted the situation of what I have. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not that serious as I would say it. It's something that's treatable, something that's manageable. And I think the peace that came with acceptance was like, if I could help someone out there, then worthwhile they hear my story. And then I found out that once I shared my story, and the more I keep telling people about it, my journey with mental health and how they should be not brush it under the carpet, especially African men, African households. I find like it sort of lifts some bit of weight off my shoulder, sort of liberating as well. So for me, I accepted it. I'm fine. It's for me. It's under control. It's up to now for me to give back, because also as I said, I stand on the shoulders of many men. Before I go to where I am now, I've put people through a lot of problems. Yeah, like my friends, the likes of G-Money, okay, or my partner. There are people who've stood by me, understood me through all my chaotic years as I was still trying to figure myself out. And I think it's time for me now to give back, so that people know how to deal with these people, that we are like regular people in the society. Actually, mental health conditions is just like diabetes, you know.
Absolutely.
As long as you take your meds, if the doctor tells you it's every other day. For us, like for me, what really changed my life a lot is therapy. So as long as you do as you're told by qualified professionals, you can live a happier and even more prosperous life. Because my life has been way better, I believe, through even therapy.
No, it's so important. I think the fact that you're in the sports arena and being able to share that is so powerful. One of my friends, Mugambi and Geetha, recently did a play, Every Brilliant Thing, that was all about mental health.
I was there.
Were you there?
Yeah, the first one on Friday.
Yeah, and I think it's just so encouraging to see the conversations growing and growing. I think there's I don't know, a moment that we're in now where people are looking around and saying, you too, me too, me too.
Yeah.
And there is only going to be, I think, a healthier and better society and culture by everyone telling their stories. You know, it's so powerful.
We are slowly getting there, but I think it's still confined in the urban areas. Once you leave the city, people are in total darkness. They really don't know what's going on. They'll just tell you it's witchcraft, or it's this and that. That one was just born like that. Like, these things are treatable. It's just the information, and it's at some point it's up. Us as the citizens, we can only do much, but at the end of the day, is the government is the entity that can do a lot through their health systems.
Do you think that there is a way to communicate to those rural areas? So because we you know, I think the statistic is something like 80% of Africans live in rural areas.
Yeah.
So that's a majority of our
It's
people,
the majority,
you know.
yeah.
So do you feel like there is a way that if that message was communicated in this way, that we would be a bit more successful? Because that's you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It's in the urban areas where we have this progress. It's only the urban areas
where the awareness is.
So how do we bring them with us? Because these conversations, not just mental health, it's so many other areas we can say we're moving ahead and we're leaving them behind, you know? I don't know.
I think it's a tough conversation to have, but if you look at what really moves the population outside the urban centers, it's religion. So once religious leaders take up this conversation, then it can be easier for the masses to digest.
Yeah.
But once people who, like most religious or religions, just keep shining upon people with mental health disabilities, saying that, oh, it's evil spirits, you know, stuff like that, superstition, it's going to be difficult, because lots and lots of Africans are more spiritual, and we tend to want to explain everything through our religious beliefs. So we need to break the sort of religious stigma or cult like behavior that we have. Because even me myself, before I opened up to my parents, it took me a while. I opened up even to the public before I opened up to my parents. They didn't know, and at first it was a bit difficult for them to understand. They were like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. We raised you well? I'm like, you did nothing wrong. This is just how I am. It's a chemical imbalance in my brain. I'm on my meds. I'm good. And with time, the more they I exposed them. Actually, the more I exposed them to information about it, the more they understood. And even, sometimes you just have a call and like, are you still on your meds? I'm like, I'm good. She's like, don't get off them. I'm like, yeah. So it will take time, and it will take effort from both the religious leaders, the government, our education system in schools, the curriculum.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. It's the same way HIV was
Exactly.
and is still being fought.
Yeah.
It needs the same kind of effort.
It does. That's exactly what it made me think of, is when HIV was really peaking, like in the 90s, it was the priests, at least in Ethiopia, they had to have the priests say to people, take your holy water, but also take your antivirals. Like, you have to take both, and we're going to need everybody to take part in this conversation too. But thank you for sharing that, Dennis. I think there's a lot of people, I think, in silence cheering you on as you continue to share your story. It's so important. So
that's my message.
Yeah. So, again, you're a storyteller, so many different stories. We have seen you playing rugby. We've seen you cooking. We have also seen you dancing. We've seen a bit of comedy.
I don't like dancing.
We've seen it. So which is your favorite? If someone says, Dennis, you have 5 minutes, you got to give us a TikTok, which are you doing? A bit of rugby advice, cooking, comedy, dancing. Which one are you going for?
Now I'll say cooking. Cooking, then rugby will come second. Dancing, if there's something else they can add, I'll kindly tell them to add. I hate dancing.
But you're not bad.
I am terrible. I am terrible.
So you're not bad, but you're terrible.
I am terrible. There's bad and then there's bad.
It's what you said earlier. You have to find that you can love it. You have to give space in your heart to say, maybe I can grow to love it.
No, I don't. This one I don't love.
You don't love.
And I don't see myself liking it. Like, why dance? Why go to, if I'm going out...
But sports is like dancing. You have to move your body. You have to follow the flow of the game. It's the same as dancing, no?
Yeah, with an outcome in mind.
I see.
To score,
there's no outcome for
win
dancing.
What am I dancing? Entertain people, entertain myself.
It's a good time.
I can watch TV and entertain myself. I'll watch people dancing. They'll entertain me.
Okay, so dancing is a sore spot. So we'll move back to our cooking questions. A lot of people write about you and they're talking about you and your cooking. When you look at all the stories out there and all the recipes and the TikToks you've done, which of those you look at and you think, I loved that story, or I loved that recipe, or I loved that dish really touched me, No,
that's difficult. I don't have... Like, people ask me, what's your favorite food? I'm like, I don't have a favorite dish. Because for me, every other meal is exciting because I keep trying out new recipes.
Are you one of those who... your family never eats the same thing more than once because it's like another thing?
Exactly, yeah. That's our family. Like, we rarely eat the same thing twice.
So what do the kids ask for, though? If they're like, Baba, can you make... Do they have a favorite they're asking for?
They don't have options, first of all.
I like it. I like that. Yes, don't give them options. That's the number one rule in parenting. Do not give options.
They don't have options. They'll eat what I'm making, but I always make it exciting because they can have chicken 4 times a week, but they won't have the same chicken 4 times a week. So for me, I don't have any particular food that I will say is my favorite. My favorite food is what excites me at the moment, what I'm trying, or what I really haven't mastered making. That's my favorite food.
So today it's Ethiopian.
Yeah, today it's tips.
Tips. I love it. Okay, so at least for today, June, whatever today is, 8th, it's tips. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few kind of quick questions. And I want to preface this by saying, this first set of questions, you are on a desert island. You're going to get a food delivery once a day.
Once a day.
And like the kids, you don't have options except these 2 things. You can pick one. These are curated by our Kenyan team here. You have to choose one of these. There's no choosing anything else. And there's no, this is the game. So don't ask
in a desert.
In a desert, you're getting one food delivery every day and you're having to choose one thing. So the first thing you have to choose on day 1 is, are you picking matumbo or matura?
I have to pick.
You have to pick.
I'll pick Matura.
Matura. Interesting choice.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, Matura is matumbo stuffed with different meats. So I get the best of both worlds.
You get the best of both worlds. Fine, fine, okay. The next day, day 2, you have to pick either pilau or biryani.
In a desert, I'll pick biryani.
This is interesting. You've taken that desert part as the context. You're a real chef.
Yeah,
Because you're thinking about the
I'm in a
setting.
desert, yeah.
And you're probably pairing it with some other side dish in your mind, isn't it?
No, pilau is drier than biryani.
Indeed.
So biryani is a bit more. So I'll get also a bit of hydration from biryani.
This game is going differently than we expected because you're really thinking about this. Okay, day 3, wet fry or dry fry?
Wet fry,
Wet fry, because again, desert.
because it's a desert.
Okay, day 4, chai or kahawa?
This is tough.
This one's tough. Okay.
Because coffee
You stopped
dehydrates you and I don't like tea.
Wow. You don't like tea. So what do you drink now?
Coffee. I drink
You
coffee
do
every
coffee,
other day.
okay.
In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, before I sleep.
You're my kind of
after I
Kenyan.
wake up. So I'll go with coffee.
Go with coffee. At least give yourself joy.
Yeah.
Even if you're dehydrated, you're joyful.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, day 5, you're going to get ugali, but now you're choosing what do you want to have with your ugali? Spinach or, I hope I say this right,
Managu.
Yes, managu. Thank you for
Managu.
stepping in. Managu, easy. That was the easiest question. Okay. And then the last day, this is, all-time favorites, I think, of most people, but you have to pick one, chapati or mandazi. We've stumped the roaming chef.
Oh, yeah. Chapati or mandazi? I'll go with chapati. I don't really like mandazi.
So, but you paused a long time. Were you thinking what about what the ancestors would
Yeah, I'm
say
trying
or
to
something?
think about this. Both of them will choke me to death in the desert.
So I guess maybe I should have asked you, like, would you prefer mango or pineapple or something like that? I should have given you better desert-friendly options.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
but chapati any day. Mandazi, actually, it's almost a year since I ate mandazi.
Really? You just don't, you're not a sweets guy?
I don't have a sweet tooth.
Yeah. You're a proper African then. You're a savory guy.
Savory and spice.
That's fair. So Dennis, I mean, the cooking has really captured our imagination. As you mentioned earlier, you won Africa's top content creator for TikTok in 2022. We were all like, that's amazing, because we've all seen your Senegalese counterparts. So we were like, what? Dennis has championed. We were all so proud. But when you think about what's next for you, what's your next chapter going to be?
My next chapter, I don't know. But at the end of the day, what I'm doing now, it's working for me now. But I know myself. I'm someone who gets, I don't want to say bored, but always looking up to forward to the next adventure. At the end of the day, I think now that I have kids, it's all about I stopped being selfish. I don't want to jump around from hobby to hobby. Now it's all about leaving a legacy for my children, and I think, because when I'm old, I don't want to say, oh, Dad, what did you leave me? Well, I have an Instagram account with 10 million followers. That's what I'm living in. Yeah, I want to leave them, because I have dreams of opening up a restaurant. It's still work in progress. So that's something that I will want to leave my kids with. But that's the long-term plan. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying myself. Doing social media content creation. I love the environment, so working with partners who deal in conservation of the environment and stuff, like I want to do more charity work, so that, because those are the stuff that give me joy. Cooking used to give me joy, but then I came to realize that now it's what is giving me an income. At the end of this thing has turned into work. Now I approach it like I'm doing work. I'm almost like a perfectionist. And sometimes it's a bit stressful. Once you turn your hobby into work, it becomes, there's some stress factor that comes with it. So for me, charity, taking care of the environment, now are things that give me joy.
I like that. There's a lot of people who are listening and watching your career, both from the sports angle as well as the content creation, who are learning from what you're doing. And I'd be curious to know, if they were to ask you a couple of questions about your career, what would you say has been your best failure?
My best failure. My best failure. Oh, my best failure. I think I made the first Olympic team, but I didn't. I was not able to make the second one because I didn't attend most of the training sessions. Like the coach told me, yes, you're a good player. You deserve to go, but there are other people more deserving than you who've been attending the sessions. They've been training with the team all year through. And yeah, back then I was still 50-50 about my rugby career. I was still a good player, but I was like, the income that it's giving me now with the kids is not enough. So I was always outside. I was shooting some TV cooking show here and there. So yeah, it hit me hard. I was sad I missed out on the Olympics, but at the end of the day, looking at how far I've come, I'm like, it was a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Not
Yeah.
making Olympics, but like you said, it brought you to where you are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we always like to ask people, before they leave our show, 2 questions. We like to equalize it because we have people here from so many different walks of life. So we always like to ask everyone, what's your favorite drink? You said kahawa already.
Yep.
So is that your favorite drink? If someone's like having you over,
Coffee.
it's going to be coffee
Coffee
day and
anytime.
night.
Yeah.
And you
Day
drink it
and
black.
night. Black
earlier.
with no sugar.
No sugar, no cream.
Actually, I like there used to be this Ethiopian restaurant at my former residence. Like, we had this strong coffee that comes like a shot.
Yes, that's how we make it in the small little
Yeah,
cups.
small
The
little
jebana
cups.
and the little cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, kesh maybe? Was it kesh?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
It's a bit bitter.
Yes.
It stains your teeth a bit.
Stains your teeth and your heart. Stains your soul.
But it's I think the best coffee I ever had. I used to frequent that place every other day. Wake up in the morning. Yes, I have my regular instant coffee at home, but then I pass by there, I have a cup, and I feel like now I can start my day. And also in the evening, especially after I've had dinner, I usually just come down, take another mug.
It doesn't bother your sleep?
No.
You're made differently. I don't know. That's because that coffee is strong. Okay, so next time we're together, I'll show you how to make the coffee.
Yeah.
Because this is something passed down. You wash the beans, you dry
from
them
scratch, from the
scratch.
beans. Oh, that's
Then
a lot of
have you
work.
been to a coffee ceremony, Ethiopian coffee ceremony?
No.
Oh, you would love it. This is how we honor guests. We wash the beans, and we gather people around. And if you're in a traditional home, every day there's a coffee ceremony. You sit around. This is how we pass the time. You have a small fire in your house, like a small jiko. You roast the beans. Then you pass around the pan. It's called a makashkasha. And then you have it, everyone smell it. Like, there's some people who don't even drink the coffee, but they like the
They
smell.
like the smell.
Then you pound it. Then you make it for your guests. And it's like the way that you pass the afternoon every day. You would love it.
Sounds like a good social event
It's a
as
beautiful
well.
social. And then you have your popcorn, of course.
Yeah, there were also always free popcorns when I was getting my coffee. Always
yes.
free popcorn.
Okay, so that is a TikTok waiting to happen, the whole coffee ceremony. So, okay, kahawa for dinner. And then the last question is, we really focus on stories of joy and justice from Africa and the diaspora. So today, what is bringing you joy in your life?
What's bringing me joy in my life today? I will say it's my kids. Yeah, since they came into my life, I say has changed for the better. My priorities have changed. For the longest time, I was always that carefree guy, living for the moment, living for today. I get money, I spend. I know I'll get more money, but now for the first time, I found myself, thinking about education plans, savings, in case my sources of income dry out. Now I need to be able to sustain them for at least a year without any income. So yeah, kids taught me how not to be selfish, that the world doesn't revolve around me, and I have other people who depend on me. Yeah, so yeah, for me, the kids are the people who bring me the greatest joy in my life. As much as sometimes, which I know everyone goes through, kids can be irritating. You
course.
just wish they get to bed, they sleep so the noise calms down. But as soon as they sleep, as soon as you also calm down, you just can't wait for them to wake up again tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that's kids for me.
That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I just love that. Well, we have had such great joy being with you today and just having this time with you. I mean, we've cooked together, we've laughed, you told us about your life. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you here, Dennis.
No, the
Thank
pleasure
you.
was all mine.
I'm
I
so
loved it.
grateful. Asante sana, sana. I'm
As
so
long
grateful.
as I'm getting spices, bre.
Yes. I've sent you home with some tasty awaza. You have to let me know what you do with it. I'm curious to see what you might do different with that spice.
I'll still do the same tips.
Okay. But you'll elevate it somehow. It'll be tips 2.0.
Some dishes are better, just the way they are.
Indeed.
So like that tips are just like it the way it is.
That's a high compliment. I'm not going to argue with that.
It's good. It was good.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank
So
you.
grateful. So I hope you have all taken something away from this episode. Perhaps you, like me, will now cut your onions and your tomatoes a bit better, or maybe you will reach out to a mentor or a mentee this week because of what you heard from Dennis. Either way, I'm just leaving the show lifted and inspired by Dennis's words, his generous spirit, his humor, his cooking, all of it. So Dennis, asante sana, amasaganalo. Thank you so much for being on Selam and Hello. And readers, we would love to hear from you. Send us a message. Let us know what you think maybe Dennis should make next, or who you'd like to see on the show. We'd love to hear from you. So send us a message. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you know where to find us at Selam and Hello. And of course, you can go old school and email us as well, lily@selamandhello.com or producer@selamandhello.com. Either way, thank you for listening. We're always grateful for your time, and be well. We'll see you next episode. Are you drinking? I hope you're not drinking instant coffee like most friends of mine. With the much.
I am a man of convenience. So instant coffee every day. It's convenient.
No, let me take this thing.
That's
is a
why
fruit.
I put sugar in my tea or whatever. I don't chew sugar cane.
Okay. Now listen. Fine. Chew your sugar cane. Everyone likes a good piece of sugar cane. However, coffee is meant to be respected.
We just buy it because it's there. It's not
Let me
like
ask
we
you.
enjoy it.
Is that why the TV was broken? Because Sasha heard this and she was like, Baba, you have to stop drinking this instant coffee. How did that? That must have been it.
No, Sasha. Actually, how she broke the TV was actually to some extent I don't blame her, of course, because I was there. I should have been watching, but I was busy editing some video for TikTok instead of spending time with my kids.
Mm-hmm. And if you had drank real coffee, you would have had the energy to do both. You could have kept the kids and edited at the same time.
No, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because now we have a couple of brands approaching us to get us newer, bigger TV.
I hope Sasha gets the TV.
No, they'll still be watching the cracked one.
No. You're going to make them watch the cracked one?
They have to learn.
For how long? Just indefinitely?
No, not indefinitely.
For a time?
Just for a time. Because even now, they want to watch cartoons. I don't want to tell them the TV is broken. I turn it on so that they can see it's broken. They can only watch one character on the cartoon on the left side.
Oh my God.
The one on the right side is not visible. They're like, what's the problem? I ask, who broke the TV? Sasha.
And then they fall silent.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you, coffee could have fixed that. But anyways, we'll never know. We'll never know.
As long as I'm getting now the real coffee from you then.
There you go. That's the new deal. Salam, hello, done. Coffee, veggies chopped. We're sorted.
Done.
Done.